Lux your way with the Lux Cravings boxes from Taco Bell. There's the classic $5 box, the indulgent $7 box, and a whole new obsession in the $9 box, the flaming hot grilled cheese burrito. Try the Lux Cravings boxes at Taco Bell today.
The biggest contest we've ever seen.
Seriously, what's the guarantee?
They're still talking about it.
I think it's time to put the rumors to rest.
Showtime!
$30 million.
$30 million?
$30 million? $30 million?
That's $30 million, guaranteed. 3 contests, multiple ways to win, no rate. Entry starting at $1,000. Enter in Nevada, play from anywhere.
Check out the all-new Blue and Orange store at the Boise State Hall of Fame. The Blue and Orange store has your best game day gear. We're talking jerseys, hats, bumper stickers, car flags, more than 4,000 hats on the hat wall. If you want the best Boise State gear, make sure you check out the Blue and Orange store online at theblueandorangestore.com or the all-new Blue and Orange store down at the Boise State Allen Noble Hall of Fame.
Sunny days call for Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea. Made with real iced tea and real vodka. Refreshing and goes down smooth. Let the good times cruise with Sun Cruiser.
How's your day going?
Going good. Thank you again.
When I want Boise State to win, I trust Coach Rice to lead the Broncos to victory.
And when I want the best painting and garage floor coating, I trust rowpaint.com to get that job done right.
Hey Bronco Nation, this is Shannon Keegren with Boise State Softball. Summer in Idaho is the best time of year. Rodeos, camping trips, and the hikes that end in views you'll never forget. At Lithia Ford of Boise, we're here to get you there. With a team known for incredible customer service, the best new and pre-owned inventory, and a commitment to making your experience easy, friendly, and fast. But here's the best part. Every purchase here helps support Boise State athletics through their NIL partnership and athletic sponsorships. See you soon at Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live is the only daily show that talks nothing but Boise State sports. And we do it with you. Give us your comments or questions in the ICCU YouTube chat. Or leave us a voicemail on the Signature Roofing voice inbox at speakpipe.com/BNN. BNN broadcasts come from the Sun Cruiser Studios. Sunny days call for Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea, made with real iced tea and real vodka. It's refreshingly smooth and easy to drink. Crack open a Sun Cruiser and let the good times cruise. Bronco Nation News is presented by our title sponsor, Lithia Ford of Boise, and our major sponsors, Taco Bell, Idaho Central Credit Union, RoadPaint.com, and the Blue and Orange Store. At Lithia Ford of Boise, we're proud to stand with Boise State athletics. Through our NIL marketing partnerships, we're investing in the future of student athletes. Lithia Ford of Boise, here to get you there, wherever that may be. Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho. Broadcasting from the Sun Cruiser Studios, here's BJ Rains with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing? Happy Monday, July 20th, Bronco Nation. This is a live edition of Bronco Nation News Live here at BroncoNationNews.com. Our title sponsor, Lithia Ford of Boise. Get out and check them out. Fairview Avenue in Boise there, LithiaFordBoise.com if you're looking for a new or pre-owned vehicle. I am broadcasting in the Sun Cruiser studios. Pick up a Sun Cruiser. Iced tea, vodkas, lemonade vodkas, a perfect beverage if you're golfing, hanging out, watching some sports, camping, whatever you got going on. My name is BJ Rains, and we do this each and every week, 9 a.m., each weekday, 9 a.m., talking Boise State sports with our variety of co-hosts, and it's Monday, and that means we got our man Brad Bedell with us. Brad, we're able to make the normal 9 o'clock time work here, so good show planned today, and had a nice, long, in-depth pre-show meeting to plan it, so appreciate you for jumping on. How we doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. We already got 13 comments in the hopper here, so folks are fired up for football season. They're fired up to get going, and always appreciate. We got TJ watching from LeGrand. We got Scott Ford down in Tampa or down in Florida. It says about to be tropical storm season down there. Billy over in in Minnesota. Josh Fife watching from Twin Falls. So folks watching all over the world, the country, and of course we got hello from Cole and Fairview. So yeah, we appreciate you as well. Emmett checking in. Always appreciate folks for giving us the shout out. Let us know where they're watching from. Appreciate that, and excited for today's show. Brad, we have media day on Wednesday. We got the final week or so, I believe, of the off-season conditioning plan, either in the books or about to be in the books this week. They'll get about a week or so to finish up with some, final trip to see the family for a few days next weekend, I believe. And we're 2 weeks from like Wednesday, I think, is the first practice. It's fall camp is pretty much here.
It is, isn't it? Here we go. Now it starts. So no, the kids get a little time off and lets the coaches get back into their offices, and they've probably already been working on fall camp now for a couple weeks, but they're ready to go. Players are excited to get away. I'm sure they're dying to get away. But I mean, it's amazing how fast this is going, and we'll be here before you know it. And then we're going to start talking, and they're going to kick off versus Oregon. So
yep.
Once it starts, we feel when we're out of the realm now that it takes a long time. When the players and the coaches are in camp and dragging it out, they're like, this is never going to end. So, I mean, there's two different ways of looking at it. So,
well, it'll be before we know it, you and Rid and I will be at the James doing a pregame show on a beautiful afternoon before the home opener against Memphis. Having the new North End Zone project being unveiled that day, and obviously the Oregon game. We'll have some road game plans. We'll be telling folks about that back over at Uncle Bob's Pizza. And I did today, Brad. People like to give me crap for having bad internet, especially on some of these road games and things. But I did today officially purchase a Starlink. So the road games this season, pregame, on the field, we should have a little better signal than at Notre Dame when my phone was frying and couldn't get a signal and was not able to do a show. So we've upped the budget a little bit. We're not renting a Starlink anymore. We just bought one, and so hopefully we should have some better internet for these pre- and post-game shows, hopefully.
That's good. And people also don't realize, I mean, Notre Dame's an old-ass stadium.
Well, there's 80,000 people all apparently using the same T-Mobile tower for
Correct. I mean, it's like you can't exactly put a cell phone tower next to Touchdown Jesus. I don't think that's not going to go very far.
No, but of all the road games last year, I would have wanted to have a signal for. That was the one that kind of frustrated me the most there at South Bend. But we learned from our mistake. We now have the Starlink, which has nothing to do with cell phone signals. It goes straight to the actual Starlink, Elon Musk satellites up there. So we've used it a couple times this year on the road to pretty good success. Nothing's foolproof, but it's way better than trying to connect through a T-Mobile hotspot, and we'll be using that for we'll be doing a lot of the live shows during fall camp down there in the parking lot outside the field as well down there at Boise State. So I just figured for the next month at least, a lot of remote mobile shows, and we'll do our best to hopefully have some good signals and stuff, and just what folks want to see, a nice high-definition, clear photo of Brad and I.
Yeah, I need Starlink. My internet just kind of
I was actually saying, as we talked about that, it froze right there. So.
No doubt. I mean, it's what you do here.
Well, I like when you host. Yours is usually worse than mine. So
it's brutal here. I think I need to get a new modem. I've had the modem for 7
So we got a fun show today, Brad. We're going to get into our debut of a new series, 40 and 40. 40 years of the blue turf. We're asking folks to give us memories in 40 seconds or less, and we're going to have 40 of these in the next 8 weeks that lead us right into that Memphis game for the home opener when they're going to do the 40th anniversary of the Blue celebration. We've got our first entry. We're going to get to that here momentarily. So I'm looking forward to that and appreciate a couple of folks that have already sent theirs in. We'll tell you more about that a little later. But Brad, we're in our countdown. I want to start with our countdown question today, the 25 biggest questions, storylines, topics heading into the Boise State football season. And we have reached number 10, the final 2 weeks of our series here. Number 10, which transfers make an instant impact this fall? And, we'll get into some of the names here on the transfers in a second, Brad. But, I mean, this has changed even from when you were coaching, which really wasn't that long ago, Brad, at Auburn a couple years ago. I mean, the amount of times now where if you have a hole, in the past, you had to go get that graduate transfer. You had to go get the Montel Cozart from Kansas that had a year left, or one of these guys you could kind of pluck for that extra year. But it was, or guys that you were willing to take and sit out a year, which guys weren't wanting to do as much. But it was much harder even 5 years ago to get transfers, and that was not much of a part of the recruiting process, or rosters were just not really built very much on transfers. Now, once this is all changed with NIL and everything else, I mean, if you've got a hole on your roster, you don't have to hope that redshirt freshman or true freshman is ready to go. You can go pluck that with a third or fourth year guy out of the portal. How different is that? And is it any different at a Boise State versus a power school? But just the fact now that coaches can go through a season, realize who's leaving, or lose a guy in the portal and say, oh, crap, we need a safety. Oh, crap, we need this. And the ability to plug holes with more ready guys from other schools and things. How big of a deal is that now for coaches?
I think it's really big. I mean, it's still you can compare it. Like, you used to have to go JUCO if you didn't want to go grad transfer, right? And then JUCO, there's an X factor. You don't know. I mean, there's JUCO players that haven't worked out. There's transfer players that haven't worked out. But even the ones that haven't, go to the grad transfer, it was hard. Like, people are saying, grad transfers, they had to get into the master's program. And if you didn't have the master's program that young man wanted to go into, or the grades were kind of made up to get into, then he's out. You got to go somewhere else. I think it's just the plug and play is a way to solidify rosters early. And you can forecast it. That's the other thing is roster management now is a huge deal. And that's why you're seeing everybody get general managers or roster managers or whatever you want to call it, right? You can look at a board and go, okay, 2 years. We won't get any names, but O-line. Okay, we possibly have a hole at left tackle. So we better start looking at that. Or that's you kind of, I don't know how the boards are. I don't go into like a Boise State and look at their board and how they do that, but it's almost like you got to put either a different tag or something like this is portal 1, high school 2nd, right? And so now I do think there's a difference between the Boise States and the big boys, because the Alabamas, the Georgias, the Big Tens, they get first shot, right? They're going to have the most money. They're going to have the kids that are leaving Alabama to go somewhere else for a fresh start. And then there's a pecking order that's going to go down. Now, the other thing is that which is really interesting, is the NIL came in with a portal. So now you got
literally like 24 hours apart, or
24 hours, right? So if you really look at that, then now it becomes bargaining, right? Where it's a bidding war, essentially. This school's offering me $1 million. What are you going to offer me? Okay, we'll offer $1.3 million, and that we're done. All right, cool. I'm going to go back to them. No, we're giving you $1 million. Okay, I'm going to go to the school with $1.3 million. That's where I think, and time will tell. Like, we don't know. I mean, these kids, especially the way Boise went, which I agree with. I said it before. I like to see production of where they're at. If you're going to go drop down in the Division twos and Division One AA's, you want to see some high productivity players, which they got. So I think that's where you can that's the wait and see. They're proving it where they're at. When we get into some of the names and some of the positions, where their spring ball came out of, what was a fast start, what was considered a slow start, that's all learning too. So I do think it's different. I think there's a pecking order, and I think there's a monetary value. And I think some of these young men think their monetary value is here when the market, they're calling it for be way down here. And I know this for a fact. There's a lot of kids that got left out of the portal because they listened to the agent and said, no, you need to turn this one down. We're going to get more. We're going to get more. And now they're not playing college football right now because they were stupid, to be quite honest with you. So I do think there is that sense of this. But if you do the homework, you can find some really good football players that are way better than where they're at. And I think Boise State did.
And we talked about this in the past. By the way, D-Ray says your audio is low, so I went ahead and turned my audio down a little bit, and folks can just turn their overall volume up, and hopefully that evens it out. We've talked about this, Brad, too. I know I've asked you this question probably numerous times. What would you rather have, the lower-level guy with a lot of proven production, or the transfer down 4-star guy that rode the bench somewhere that doesn't have the production? Like, what would you rather? Do you need to have the higher school, bigger name, so to speak, guy, or do you care if it's an FCS school or something with more numbers? So I know that's part of it too. But how does JUCO factor into all this as well? And I know kids go to JUCO for different reasons. Sometimes it's grades, sometimes it's whatever else. But how do you look at what is the difference of the player you're getting? Who is typically more ready to come in and produce? A kid from JUCO, a kid from the FCS, or, like I said, a kid that maybe was a highly recruited player out of high school, or a more likely kid, that transfers down from a Kansas or an Arizona, or some of the players on Boise State's roster. What have you noticed? And I know you came into this late with the current transfers right away, happening, but what do you think is there one that typically seems to be better, or what? JUCO guys, I know they said in the past, typically take a little longer, and you'd always say that second JUCO year was when they kind of took off. But how does all that kind of change too? And if you're looking, do we go for a JUCO guy? Do we go for an FCS guy? Or do we go to a guy that, only got 8 carries at Kansas?
I think the last is the kid that got 8 carries at Kansas. And the only reason
Harry Stewart, by the way, got rave reviews, and I mentioned him because he was a Kansas transfer at running back and actually scored a touchdown, and I believe is going to be a contributor for them at running back. But that's why I mentioned Kansas.
So go anywhere you want. Go to Georgia. You have to do a lot more homework on that. Let's say a young man's leaving Georgia after his second year, hasn't touched the field. Why? Why hasn't he touched the field? Well, he's got all these guys ahead of him, which is a fact. Okay. Well, then why aren't I seeing him on special teams? Why haven't I seen him any productivity on the field? Is there a discipline issue? Is there a grade issue? You have to dig into that. And I do not think personal opinion. Okay. And I'm not mentioning names, but there's an example that Boise State just got done with, right? Young men that come highly with a lot of baggage, right? It's hard. You got to get them right. If they're not right off the field, they're not going to be right on the field. And so I think you got to do a lot more homework in that regard. Now let's go to the other question, the lower level. I was a JUCO kid. I would like, if I was in the business, if I was coaching right now, I would look at all the JUCOs, and I would look at all the Division I AA kids, or FCS and Division II, and then I'd compare them. This is why I would, if they're both even, I am immediately going to recruit the Division I AA young man and the Division II young man, because they've seen multiple things. They've played a lot of football, right? So that offensive lineman has seen multiple fronts, multiple blitzes. He's got to get the speed of the game when he comes to Boise State, where the JUCO player,
Sorry to make you lose your train of thought.
The JUCO player has seen limited styles. So like, what has he seen? Has he been in the big games? Has he seen 3 different fronts on 3rd down and 1st and 10? And so the learning curve is going to be a lot higher. That's why if they're ever even, I'm going with a kid with the most productivity, who's seen the most football, and still healthy. Don't take that regard. And so that's why I would tend to go there. JUCO is somewhere, if you look at wide receiver, and he's just a blazer that can take the top off and things like that. So positionally, you got to look at it too. But as an offensive line coach, I want the kid who's going to see multiple things, because I think the plug and play is a lot faster rather than the JUCO who's seen a little bit limited items, right?
Well,
or now the other thing is very interesting. Boise State's defense is very multiple. So the learning curve's even higher here.
So the style, so the level, but also the style that they played in before all matters.
Yeah. Look at Boise State's offense. It's multiple. It's a pro style multiple offense, right? So that, even though they do a really good job teaching it and making it very simple for the player in the building, but it looks multiple, looks complicated. So you need those kind of players to grasp onto that. And I think if you've been in a college football program, the weight room, the expectations of running a college football program, those kids tend to come around faster than JUCO.
Blake says, how does the JUCO and 5 to play 5 change things? Does it matter if you have an extra?
Is there even a ruling on that yet?
It's expected to be finalized where it's not, the whole issue is this year with basketball. They just finished their senior year, and then a lot of these guys are now suing because they're saying, well, why are you starting it next year? We should get the year back now. But if it does go to 5 and 5, that would be, JUCO, you get those 2, and then you'd get 3 more. I think it's 5 no matter what level you're at, because it has to do with age and things like that. But maybe JUCO players are a little more enticing because you could get them for 3 years and expect to have that projected development.
I agree there, but you have to go back to the age rule of 19 years old. If they're 19 in their senior year or something like that, it starts going against eligibility of the future. So I don't know if that 5 for 5 rule is going to really, it's a different wording through the age group and age of timing of coming back to their senior year of high school. I don't know. It's weird. But the 5 for 5 rule, it's intriguing. I think if you can get a hold of the young man with a 5 and 5 rule, is going to be good. But if he's really good, he shouldn't be there more than 3. He should be in the NFL after 5 total. That's 2 JUCO, 3 at Boise State. And if he's really good, he should be in the National Football League after 3.
Well, Boise State has guys from all 3 of those levels that we've been talking about. So let's dive into some of the names here momentarily. I do want to thank Lithia Ford of Boise, our title sponsor. LithiaFordBoise.com. They got some great new deals going on right now. I know Jim Sturk took care of Brad Bedell with a video or a vehicle back in the day. So Spencer Danielson, Jeremiah Dickey, if you want to drive a vehicle that many of your favorite coaches and players are driving, that's Lithia Ford of Boise, online at lithiafordboise.com. Our YouTube chat there, sponsored by ICCU. The ICCU YouTube chat, get in there with your comments. And who are you excited about from the transfers this year? We'll get to those names here in a minute. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. There's a branch pretty much on every corner, but the easiest, that mobile e-branch online banking right there in your smartphone. So easy to use. You're going to realize you should have switched a long time ago when you finally do make that switch. Idaho Central Credit Union, online, ICCU.com. Matt Bauscher, Bauscher Real Estate, #1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley is Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. Rain's family, we bought and sold our home using Matt and his team, and we love doing that. I highly, highly recommend it. 252-9877, BauscherRealEstate.com. And I know everybody has friends and family that are real estate folks, but Bauscher Real Estate, promise you it's going to be the best in the business there to help you out. And don't forget about Element Fencing, elementfencing.com. They can do pergolas, decks. If you need a new fence, Element Fencing is who you need to reach out to. 631-2790, elementfencing.com. Brady and his staff, 25 plus years in the fencing business. They are ready to help you out. Element Fencing, online at elementfencing.com, and rowpaint.com. All your painting needs, make sure you hit up rowpaint.com. Interior, exterior painting. Those concrete coatings are world famous as well. Rowpaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. We appreciate rowpaint.com for their support of Bronco Nation News. All right, again, we're going to get to our 40 and 40 here in a little bit. The 40th anniversary of the Blue Turf and our new series we're kicking off. But let's start with some of these names. Brad, I know one that kind of fits right in there with your neck of the woods in the offensive line, Tyler Etheridge. We've talked a lot about him, but you look at which transfers come in and have a chance to play significant, snaps. I think there's certainly going to be some guys we're going to talk about on this list, but if you want to talk about guys that right now on July 20th are projected as starters that are newcomers to the program in terms of transfers, the list is not very long. And one of the guys that looks like maybe the only one of them is going to be Tyler Etheridge, CSU Pueblo. So again, what we talked about, moving up in competition, only has 1 year left to play, but made a really strong impression at left tackle. Division II, product, but we've talked a lot about him. But Tyler Etheridge has a chance as a transfer to come in, and not an easy task having to replace Cage Casey.
I mean, a draft pick, 0 holding calls, a monster of a human being. No, it won't be, but it's anybody's going to, it doesn't matter if it's Tyler or if it's anybody coming in to fill in that position. It's just those are hard shoes to fill at a very difficult position. But, coming out of spring from what I saw and things like that, I think he's another youngman that came in and bought in. I think this is another great example of the learning curve. He's won a lot of football at CSU Pueblo. He's played a lot of football at CSU Pueblo. And so I think that for what he's done coming in and buying into the culture, what the players have asked him to do about the huddle up before game, and the players like him, they respect him. He came in with energy. I think he's the guy that looking at everybody, and as we go through there's a certain position, we're going to see the difference between a Tyler who comes from a historically winning program, which CSU Pueblo has been in the past, to a JUCO player, right? So I think he's a good fit. I think this is a good example of get him in. I think he's very athletic, or he wouldn't be in that position. But I expect him to come in and contribute and start. I also would see them shuffling the line in camp just because they're going to have to. But I think he will be the left tackle.
So he was here for the spring. Obviously, that was massive for him. But, I'll get to my other question in a second. Brad has one first, or BSU Bill has one for Brad. With a guy like Etheridge, who has great D2 production and film, do you have more confidence in a guy like that than, say, a Power 4 guy dropping down who might be super athletic but has almost no reps? I mean, by the way, the Ohio State transfer, I forget his name. His name's escaping me. The Ohio State transfer they added last year, Brad, that people were excited about. I believe he's no longer on the roster. I haven't confirmed that with Boise State yet, but I know Nathan was looking through the roster for this last night, this story, and noticed that he was no longer listed. So Miles Walker was his name. I believe he might be gone from the equation here, which shows you everyone was super excited. Ohio State, oh my gosh, he's 6'6", 3, whatever. Oh, if you're good enough for Ohio State, you're good enough to play here. I mean, I was probably saying it myself. This guy is the future, guy, and then he's gone without maybe ever seeing much reps at all. What would you say in terms of D2, kind of what we talked about, production, reps at a lower level versus a guy that hasn't really done much?
Yeah, you just summed up the argument. It's just not always going to work, which is okay. But that's why I never highly rated guys coming out of big time programs do not always work out at Boise State. It's not a Boise State issue. So if anybody's thinking that, it's not. I don't want to hear it's a Spencer Danderson issue either. You can shove that argument up your whatever you want to call it. It's the young man that get triggered to understand the culture of Boise State and to understand the culture of put the ball down, we're going to whoop your butt in a parking lot, in the mountains, or in front of 40,000 people in Albertson Stadium. That's the way it has to go. And if it doesn't fit there, you're not going to play. Right, wrong, or indifferent. Nothing wrong with you, just it's not going to work. That's where I said it before, I think Boise in this class with the transfers did a very nice job investigating the culture kids that can play football, and doesn't matter what level. Everybody wants to get excited. I get excited about hearing 6'6", 330 out of Ohio State. if the young man's still on the roster, and I really hope he is, because size you can't teach, right?
He is. I did confirm just with BSU, he is no longer on the team.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but it's a good example of no reps. They took the shot, didn't work out. Maybe this is not the place for you. Sorry. I wish you nothing but the best. It's an example of you can't see it. This is the thing. You're going back to practice film. Well, we don't know what controlled situation was in that practice film. It's cut up. It's going to have every great clip of practice the young man's ever had.
He's not sending the plays where he gets beat to the coaches, right?
No. And you're not seeing how the player reacts when he gets beat. Does one bad play produce 3 in a row? Or does one bad play, the result after one bad play is a terrible game? Or does he rebound after giving up a sack and not giving up a sack or a pressure again all game? There's a reason why they get recruited to Ohio State. There's a reason why they do not play at Ohio State. I do not trust a young, don't take this wrong. Anybody who's doing this, I don't want to hear it. I don't trust a young man filming himself off a practice when you do not see how controlled the practice is. It could be as easy as we're working on one front with 0 blitzes. I don't know that because I wasn't at the practice. And you can't work them out. So you really don't know the player. You're taking a gamble. And if you have the position to take a gamble, which they did with the Ohio State kid, you want to go with size. They went with size. It just didn't work. He's no longer on the roster. That's why I want to see them play football in a game so I can watch an entire game. And now I can see what his reactions were when things went bad and how he responded. And did he keep it up when he had the foot on the pedal? And did he just finish players off? That's what I like. And I think a lot of coaches are going to that.
Now, is there a position, and we're going to get to some of these other names in a minute, but are there positions that are easier than others to come in as a transfer and play right away? Or
yeah. I think so. Now I'm being very biased, but I think so. I think wide receiver. Because wide receiver, you can look at hip flexibility, coming in and out of a break, explosion, speed. One thing that would worry about me is ball skills and hands, because you're not going to see it all. You're not going to see the drops. That's where your question's going to be if they're just filming themselves catching balls all the time, right? Then you got to go back to the high school film, right? And then you got to call the high school coach. Hey, does he have any issues? Well, we really had to work on his hands. He's not a natural ball catcher. Okay, that's a red flag. So now you got to do a little bit more homework. But if you're 6 foot and you're just a blazer and you ran a 10-200 at a high school, you may want to look at that one a little bit further. O-line, and I think another one is corner. Corner worries me about getting no game reps, because you want to talk about a corner that needs a short-term memory. Is you put him on the boundary and he gets smoked on a 9 route for a touchdown, what is his reaction going to be the next series? And the other thing is, can he play on an island? Can he play 3 and get to the deep third? Can he play man? Is he physical? Can he tackle? Those are a lot of things you don't see if somebody's just running practice film, because a lot of people just don't tackle during practice right now.
Sure.
So those are some of the things that I think O-line, I think corner, and I'm not even going to mention quarterback. That's just, you got to do a whole separate evaluation of quarterback. Pass rushers. If you would just want a strict pass rusher and the kid has got length, explosion, size, he's fluid, I'm pretty much going to take a gamble on a pass rusher. Because the NFL takes gambles on pass rushers, because if you've got a great pass rusher, it changes everything. And Boise State's been very lucky and very, very blessed with pass rushers. And they got another one this year. So, pass rushers, I take a gamble on.
Brad, I know you're a big media star now. People just love this show, but Double O'Neill is so invested in the show and he wanted to watch that he is currently watching while hiding in the restroom at work. to watch our show right now. So you can tell your wife when you get done here that someone was watching you while in the restroom.
Dude, that's awesome. The question is, never mind.
What? Yeah.
I just hope his pants are up. And the lid's down. The main lid's down.
Oh, it's too early, and I haven't had a Sun Cruiser yet, so I'm going to end it there. That part there. But you mentioned wide receiver. There's a couple of them. Nitro Wright, JUCO guy. Darren Morris coming over from Southern. Those are guys that I know people are expecting to contribute. Running back, you have Harry Stewart, I mentioned, from Kansas. Jules Goff from Pitt coming in as well. So I know those are some guys at the skill position that have a chance to come in and play right away. And I know a lot of folks are excited about Nitro Wright, put up huge numbers at JUCO and came in the spring. And they said it took him a little bit of time to kind of get adjusted, but the second half of spring, it sounded like from talking to some coaches, he kind of took off.
That's just a good example of the learning curve from JUCO to coming off of like the Southern young man who he had good numbers at Southern now. And so I think that's a good example, right? I mean, they're coming in, it's more of a complex offense, routes, trees bigger, playbooks bigger. It takes JUCO kids at the skill position a little bit longer, which is okay, because they can do some things with the skill position, but that's just a classic example of okay, JUCO is going to need a little bit more time. But as they installed and everything started coming up, and then they went back, started reviewing it, he hears it another time, he takes off. So I think that's one that he can run, and that's a kid I'm excited about. The Southern kid, we're going to see. I think you're going to see a lot. Pardon me. You're going to see a lot coming out of the two when you really investigate it, of what's the production level of JUCO after the first 3 games, what's the production after the Southern young man. If they're both playing a lot, what's his production like? And then you're going to find out a lot between JUCO and 4-year. I think those two are needed additions in that room. When we talked about, I don't even know when the portal opened or whatever, I thought that was one position that they needed to go after a couple of guys. They lost a couple. And they did. I like what they did. New wide receivers coach and things like that. So those are 2 good additions with the young man out of Rocky. So and Ben Ford's coming back. That's
Cam Bates. They got Quentin Brown was there last year. They like Camonte Williams. I think that was a big question mark, and I think it'll be a big question mark going into camp. But I think people feel a little better about that with some of the guys they added. What about the defensive side of the ball? Kennesaw State corner Jericho Washington Jr., All-Conference USA selection a couple years ago. Last year led the nation in pass breakups. Again, some of that is defensive style and things, and we don't know much about how much do teams he played throw and who else is on the other side. There's a lot to it, but they do have some openings in the secondary. When you lose Amarion McCoy, you lose Jeremiah Irby. You also lost both your safeties in Ty Benefield and Zion Washington. And so some guys are getting moved around there. I know they really like Jaden Mickey moving over to corner, for last year's Notre Dame transfer. But I know Washington is a guy, and then is a guy that they really like. And then also, and I'm not trying to just keep bringing up Kansas, but they brought in another Kansas linebacker, Logan Brantley, who showed some signs in the spring, and that's a position at linebacker where they don't have a ton of depth right now either. So those are 2 guys I know on the defensive side that names getting thrown a little bit, as well as since we were talking TCU earlier with our man Kent Riddle, because his daughter goes there, but Cam Jamerson, the corner, transferred over from TCU, and then they have another corner from Notre Dame, Tabron Benny Powell. So again, you got the Notre Dame transfer at corner. It didn't play as much and doesn't have a ton of production, or the Kennesaw State guy that put up massive numbers. So here we go again with the same discussion.
With a proven, very high productive player moving from nickel to corner. So in my opinion, I think they triggered that. The defensive coaches triggered that position as a worry. Look at what they've done at that position. Now, there's going to be some things that I don't know behind the door. Discussions is, can one of those corners play nickel or not nickel? I'm sorry, safety. I know they brought in they brought in a safety from somewhere. It's blank. At least I thought they did. Maybe they didn't. But you're kind of overloaded that room with corners, which is fine. It's actually good. Bring in a corner. If you can play safe, if you can play corner, if you're physical enough and you have enough range, you should be able to play safety. So I think that's a room that's good. They're going to have to separate themselves early versus some, which we think is some question mark position, the wide receivers, but some talent and some speed. So you need to get those corners versus the top tier guys they got. They think the top 4 wide receivers that you think you got in your room are going against the top 4 corners, which you think you got in your room, and may the best men win. And I think that's a position that they really attacked. That one, I'm going to stay, we don't know if these kids, one of them may come out to start. That's one that I'm going to hold for wait and see. I haven't seen enough of them, to be quite honest with you. I did not do a very good job in the spring looking at them, to be quite honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Once fall camp comes and, they're going to be tested early. It's probably the fastest wide receiver core in the country or close to it. Minus
Roman
Ohio
Tillman,
State.
by the way, South Dakota, I think, so maybe who you're talking
That's
about.
him. Yeah. So position of need. So we'll see where that one goes. But I think I like the move from nickel to corner. I trust that with a coaching staff. I'm going to say this. I will say the Kennesaw State kid is going to come in and probably have an early lead, and then we'll see where now at that position, where's the athletic ability of the TCU transfer and the Notre Dame transfer? Are they just more athletic and faster than the other young men? We'll see what happens here in 56 days.
And one more kind of under the radar addition, Caden Kello, redshirt senior from Weber State, coming in as a new long snapper, which some people might kind of laugh about or just kind of write off. But Mason Hutton, one of the better long snappers here in a long time. That's a very big, important decision. I've always said I think holding is one of the most, maybe the most underrated position, but long snapping is certainly there as well. And Mason Hutton, his moving on, hopefully, to the NFL in terms of his career as a long snapper the last 3-4 years. Caden Kello coming in as a redshirt senior from Weber State. According to Nathan Carroll in the article here, 0 bad snaps last season, according to Pro Football Focus. He'll come in and try to win the long snapping duties.
I mean, that's a position right there, is you take it for granted until you don't have one. I mean, teams that don't have a long snapper or don't invest anything into a long snapper, you just don't like sleep. Special teams corners just don't want. I guess you just don't want to sleep. You just want to spend all game. You might as well wear a diaper on the sideline every time you have to have a punt snap, because if you're worried about the snap, then oh my God, the long snapper is a vital position. That's why when they get in the NFL, they're there for 12 years and they just don't move. They rarely move teams. It's just because if you're willing to take minimum and make $1 million a year in a long snap, you can be in that league for 15, 17 years. That's a position that you have to always have. It's like having a horrible punter. I mean, you can't win field position. With a bad snap, you lose field position. You're just screwed. It's just, and if you can't punt and you can't exchange field positions and make them drive long fields, you're just in trouble. Your defense you're already down. And that's just the long snapper is something that I agree with you. A lot of people go, oh, great, we got a long snapper. I'm like, whew, good job. You triggered a position that is very important to your football team, and you found one. And it's just, it's vital. I just think I'm glad they got him. I'm glad he didn't have I didn't watch any Weber State football, but if he doesn't have a bad snap, and anyone looks at everything, I mean, crying out loud. But that's a position right there that if you don't have one, you're screwed, and you better get one.
All right, so a number of guys that could come in as junior college, lower level transfers, Division I transfers, make an impact. The full list and who Nathan Carroll expects to project, you can check them out at BroncoNationNews.com.
Hey, well, the other thing is that we didn't really mention is this: is like we always want to talk about if they're going to start, right? That's all everybody cares about start. But all these kids are going to be asked to play a role in this football team, especially the linebacker. Special teams, things like that they need to find a role if they're not starting. The other thing is it's football. Injuries happen. So they're going to get a lot of playing time. Is that when they get in, are they going to be ready? And are they going to, I didn't start. And they're going to go through the typical, I came here, I didn't start, you're screwing me, yada, yada. No. You're going to play a lot of ball. You just got to find your role and prove it and get in. So that's one thing I hope, I don't know this, but I hope they just absorb that and know like my time's going to come because something's going to happen and I'm going to win the job through that way. It's just they need to find their role. If they're not starting, corners can be you got nickel, you got dime. There's a lot of things you can do at corner. Just find your role and help the team go undefeated.
All right, so the list is online, BroncoNationNews.com. You can check it out. All right, starting our new cool series, 40 and 40. We're giving away a really cool prize. I'm going to tell you about that in just a second. Speaking of 40 and 40, the Blue Turf, 40th anniversary. If you want that jacket, you want all the merchandise, the gear, check out the blueandorangestore.com. Officially licensed coaches sideline apparel. You can get those customized jerseys there with in minutes at the Hall of Fame. They can screen print the name and number right on. If you want Bedell, you can get that put right there on your what number were you again at Colorado or in the NFL, Brad?
76.
All right, Bedell 76. You can get that put on there. What would you do if somebody showed up in a Bedell 76 jersey to the James or something? Would you take care of their tab or?
I give them a high five.
I love Brad. All right, blueandorangestore.com. All your Boise State merchandise and gear. Check it out at the Blue and Orange Store. Hey, Jackson, save up to $32 at Roaring Springs when you buy 2 Coca-Cola products at Jackson's. That's right. Save up to $32. Just buy 2 Coca-Cola products at Jackson's or Extra Mile by Jackson's. They'll give you the voucher to use at Roaring Springs. And don't forget that 99-cent bigger fountain drink when you use your Let's Go Rewards app. Hey, Signature Roofing is our roofing sponsor. We appreciate them covering our community for more than 2 decades. Speakpipe.com/BNN if you want to leave us a voicemail. Signature Roofing, mysignatureroofing.com. And it's a great roofing company. We've got a new roof from them last year. We're loving it. So if you're on the fence, if you need kind of an inspection, an estimate, a repair to your roof, a new roof, Signature Roofing, tell them you heard about it on BNN. They'll hook you up with a great deal. Our friends at Signature Roofing. And Ridley's Family Markets as well. Shop Ridley's.com. Ridley's Family Markets, 13 locations in the state of Idaho, other surrounding states. Next time you're heading to the grocery store, head to Ridley's Family Markets. And Taco Bell, they just donated $1 million to Boise State. That's all you need to know. TacoBellWorks.com. Return the favor, folks, for their investment. Take the family to Taco Bell. You will not be disappointed. And that new menu, the cantina items, is changing daily. So great new menu, delicious food. TacoBellWorks.com. Check them out, part of the SON Management Group and the Nicolason family. All right, Brad. So we have teamed with CollectBSU.com. That's the company that is selling the Blue Turf. They're selling merchandise on behalf of Boise State. They've got football players, old travel bags. You can buy the locker stools that were in their lockers. You can buy all kinds of cool official merchandise that was used by. Why you got that look on your face there?
Nothing.
$125. You can have a duffel bag that a player used for his road game travel for the uniform if you want.
That's cool.
You got a stool. You're gonna buy a blue or orange duffel bag. You're going to go buy it at the store. Why don't you buy one that was used by a player during his time there? Maybe a Brad Bedell, used duffel bag from when you traveled on the road.
Oh yeah, I'm hearing you, but I probably took every duffel bag I ever had from Colorado, so that belonged to me. And
you weren't taking a Colorado duffel bag when you were traveling with Boise State.
No, I took my own stuff, but I don't know if there's a locker room stool, hopefully it was clean before you buy it. Or it's a scratch.
Just to show you what I'm talking about here real quick, Brad, I'll put this on the screen here. These are the products that they are selling at Collect BSU. So you can buy some pieces of the turf. There's the blue or the orange duffel bags. You can purchase those. There's some of the stools that they have on there. They also have the different tickets and memorabilia and things. There's some stools from the soccer team. There's a locker from the women's soccer team. But there's the orange or the blue travel bags you can buy for football. You can buy, as we mentioned, the pieces of the blue turf. But what we are, by the way, this goalpost thing right here is pretty cool. You can buy the shadow box for the goalpost. But what we are giving away, Gene Blameyer autographed piece, the original 1986 blue turf, Brad Bedell. You get a piece of that 1986 blue turf, and you get a cool shadow box here with a photo and a memory of it, and it's signed by Gene Blameyer. And we are doing this as part of 40 years of memories in 40 seconds. It's a cool new thing we started, Brad, and we teamed up with Collect BSU. So every day for the next 40 days, we're gonna take a submission from a fan, we're gonna play it, and then we're gonna put your name in the hat to try to win that shadow box. So we have our first entry here, and I gotta say, Brad, we got some good ones over the weekend, but folks were just sending in like an actual play or the goalpost coming down. I believe the company wants our viewers to actually be themselves on camera talking about the memory. So some of you have sent in some cool photos, some cool videos, but we need you to record yourself if you've got, a Boise State background or something on the wall or a jersey you want to wear, but just put yourself on camera on your phone, hold up your phone, 40 seconds or less, and describe to us your favorite memory of the blue turf, and then we'll put all 40 names in there, hopefully more if we get more entries, and we will give those away. But without further ado, Ryan Mitchell is going to kick us off, Brad. Tell us, he's a BYU student, but has a memory, and we're going back, Brad, to 2016. Were you a part of the 2016 team?
Oh.
All right, David Moa. You've heard of David Moa. David Moa. He blocked a field goal against BYU, the last play of the game, I believe it was, or I guess he blocked it, and then it turns out it didn't reach the line of scrimmage, and there was still time left, so they ended up getting to do a Hail Mary. You remember the play I'm talking about? The game I'm talking about. Okay, you probably watched some tape when you got here or saw it in the past at some point or were watching it from afar. But David Moa, that was the game. That was the moment. Here is Ryan Mitchell's memory.
Favorite memory of the blue turf, 2016 against BYU. Obviously, David Moa blocking the field goal at the end was awesome. Our tickets were in the BYU section. Great to let them hear it all game. Best part about this story, I was a BYU student at the time and had a bunch of classes with BYU players. They knew I was a BSU fan. They were talking all semester how they were going to smack BSU. We drove up to the game the day of the game. As soon as the game was over, we drove back because we had tests and classes the next day. And it was great, super quick trip. Got to rub it in the BYU players' faces for the rest of the semester. It was awesome.
All right, Ryan Mitchell, appreciate the kicking us off. You're not a bad way to kick off the series. BYU student, but a Boise State fan, and gets to talk smack to some BYU players after David Moa blocks the field goal. They win the game in 2016. That was an iconic moment on the blue when you think about that game and that moment. And there had been some crazy games in the past where BYU had a Hail Mary to beat them, I think, the year before. And there was just some crazy games against BYU. And for David Moa on the blue, blocks the field goal. And then this guy, Ryan Mitchell, drove all the way up to Boise, watched the game, drove all the way back on, I think it was a Thursday night game, has class and tests the next day on a Friday, and sees, surprised he'd see the football players in class on a Friday the next day. But he at least said that the rest of the semester he was able to talk some smack. Ryan Mitchell kicking off our 40 and 40 series.
Pretty cool. I'm surprised I wouldn't have driven back and gone to the test. I would have pulled some excuse and go, I'm sticking around. Well, went to BYU, but I would have been at the end zone. I ain't gonna make it back to school that day. I'll tell you this right now.
Yeah. If that was a heck of a game, and but you know what? If you do have to drive back, you're on cloud 9 for at least a couple hours of that drive, fired up, getting back closer to Provo, because that's a tough drive to do in the middle of the night, going down through some of those spots in eastern Idaho. Yeah. But pretty cool memory. And yeah, I mean, you're a BYU student, but you like Boise State, and you get the bragging rights there with the football players.
No doubt. No, I think that's a good start. That's a good start. I mean, I'm kind of surprised there's actually a lot of Boise State fans at BYU.
They got family ties, or maybe they have your major. They don't have the things. Who knows what it is? But again, 40 and 40. Send us your memories like Ryan Mitchell did. Thanks for Ryan for kicking it off. Rains at BroncoNationNews.com. Email them to me. Rains, RAINS at BroncoNationNews.com. I think we had at least one other person that did it correctly on their cell phone. Just record the video, iPhone preferred. We can probably make it work with a video on a different kind of phone, but just email me the video, yourself, your favorite memory of the Blue, just like Ryan did, and then we will throw your name in the hat to try to win the autographed shadow box of from Gene Blameyer with an original piece of the 1986 Blue Turf, and we're going to do one of these on every show leading up to the 40th anniversary celebration of the Blue Turf for the home opener against Memphis. So get those in. That'll be cool. And Brad, before we go, you obviously been a part of some games as a coach, been now back as a fan. What is there a game or a moment in a game, or when you think your most favorite memory or moment on the Blue Turf, what comes to mind?
I mean the championship 17 and 19. First game in 17 ever coached. I got a chance to feel that atmosphere, and which is, you hear a lot about it, and then you get to be involved in it, and it's something special. And we weren't great. We were horrible on 3rd and short versus Troy. It took Alexander Madison to break a power for 70 to get us ahead. I'll never forget that. It's just being a part of it in 17, and you hear the tradition about Boise State and the blue field and what it's like, and all of a sudden then you get to live it, and you're like, oh, been to a lot of places now, and this is different. And it's those games. The other thing is the silly stuff, like spending the night on the Blue, right? Players had a heck of a time, and it was fun for a while until you get no sleep. But it's like those things. It's Bronco Olympics, doing home run derbies on the field with the kids, but there's no stands in there. You just get to hang out with the players and have fun on the Blue and things like that you don't. You just let you think back, and you're like, the games were great, but the special times I had, the practices in the preparation we do on the Blue, and how hard that we worked on the Blue to get us to win on the Blue. Those are the things that I love. That's why it means something so much, because you practice so much, and there's so much energy that the players put on that Blue. They take such pride in it, and it has to come back to that and go undefeated. And so 17, 19, absolutely. The first game versus Troy, which is very up and down. But
Blake
it was
agrees
good.
with you. The 17 championship might be my favorite.
Yeah.
That was the Leighton Vander Esch interception in the second half to kind of seal that game, right? Returned it for a touchdown, I believe.
Yep. And then 19, we absolutely just crushed Hawaii.
That's right. Second time Hawaii having to come to the Blue. And that
Right.
was not a close game.
No. And they brought the mouse, because a mouse is supposed to scare a horse. He tried to do every stop in the book. And Hawaii was not very good, to be quite honest.
That was when
with
you had the two divisions, and they kind of lucked into it. The better teams were all on your side.
Correct. I mean, we at the end of that first half, we were on the left hash, threw a 9-ball to wide receiver. I forgot his name. He's a JUCO transfer, actually.
Cedric Wilson?
No, that was
John
17.
Hightower.
John Hightower. He pirouetted 360, put his foot in the ground, inbounds, took off to score. And I'm like, ladies and gentlemen, this game is over. And then they came out in the second half flat. But there's been unbelievable memories. Those are some of the ones that come to mind. And so when you play enough games, you also have some really tough memories too. But it's just the kids. That's what means so much about start with the kids and then the atmosphere. And if you've never felt it, or you guys, people who watch the show or anything a part of BNN, and if you haven't come to a game, I highly suggest try to get there at least once in your life. And because I've been to Oregon, I've been to this. I was like, okay, great, just come, and it'll blow your mind about just everything leading up to the game atmosphere, to the tradition of Boise State. Feeling it live is unbelievable, and that's one of the greatest traditions, the Blue Field. So
no doubt.
That's where it comes to mind with me.
Sky says that our friend Ryan Mitchell should be disqualified out of the gate by being a BYU student.
BYU student. You know what? He's not wrong.
Well, again, get your submissions in. Email me. We'll play it on an upcoming show, and you could be the winner of the Gene Blameyer autographed shadow box there. So, Brad, appreciate your time as always, man. Hope you have a great rest of your day, great week. We're looking forward to Media Day on Wednesday. Hope folks will make plans for that, noon to 3. We'll have 3 live hours, 3 hours of coverage Wednesday at noon. Spencer Danielson, Eric Chenander, Nate Potter, Stacy Collins, like almost a dozen players. A lot of interviews, a lot of coverage. If you're a Boise State fan, make plans Wednesday at noon to join us for a special edition of BNN Live. We'll have Jay Tust on tomorrow morning. So appreciate you guys. Have a great day. Thanks, Brad. Thanks, everybody else. Go subscribe, BroncoNationNews.com. 50% off, fall camp special. Go subscribe, and we'll talk to you guys later. We'll see you at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Bronco Nation News, BroncoNationNews.com.